The studio lights are bright, the laughter is easy, and for years, Bradley Walsh has made it all look effortless. The quick jokes, the playful banter, the energy that never seems to dip, it's the version of him millions of viewers feel like they know. But behind that familiar smile, there was a moment that changed everything. A quiet warning that didn't come with flashing lights or dramatic symptoms, but with something far more unsettling. It started like any ordinary day. Busy schedule, back-to-back commitments, and the kind of pace that leaves little room to stop and think. Bradley, like so many people, was used to pushing through. A bit tired? Keep going. Slight headache? It'll pass. Life doesn't slow down, especially not in the world of television. And besides, he felt fine, mostly. But sometimes the biggest risks are the ones you can't feel. A routine checkup, something many people delay or brush off, turned into a moment that would stay with him. Sitting across from a doctor, expecting the usual quick, all good, Bradley instead heard words that instantly shifted the mood. Calm, serious, and impossible to ignore. There was a condition, a quiet one, often overlooked, but dangerous if left unchecked. It's often called a silent killer for a reason. No dramatic warning signs, no obvious symptoms screaming for attention, just a slow, steady buildup that can catch even the healthiest-looking person off guard. And in that moment, the realization hits differently. It's not about what you feel, it's about what's happening beneath the surface. For someone known for humor and quick wit, the news landed with a surprising stillness, the kind of pause that makes everything around you feel a little quieter. It wasn't just about health anymore. It was about time, choices, and the things that really matter. And yes, there was fear, not the kind that shows up in a big dramatic way, but the quieter kind, the kind that lingers in your thoughts, the kind that makes you replay the doctor's words again and again. What if this had gone unnoticed? What if it had been ignored just a little longer? But here's where Bradley's story takes a turn. Not into panic, but into perspective. Because sometimes a warning isn't just a warning, it's a second chance. Instead of shutting down, he leaned in, asked questions, took it seriously, and maybe even cracked a joke or two along the way, because that's who he is. Even in serious moments, there's always a spark of humor. Not to dismiss the situation, but to face it with a bit of light. There's something unexpectedly human about that. The mix of worry and wit, the way life doesn't stop being funny just because it gets serious. And in his own way, Bradley began to shift things. Small changes at first, the kind that don't look dramatic from the outside, but matter deeply over time. Paying closer attention, listening more carefully, not just to doctors, but to his own body. Slowing down when needed, prioritizing what once felt optional. It's funny how something invisible can suddenly make everything else feel more vivid. Moments become sharper, conversations more meaningful. Even the simple things, like a quiet evening or a shared laugh, start to carry a different weight. There's some kind of appreciation that comes from knowing how easily it could have gone another way. And for fans watching from the outside, it's a reminder that even the most energetic, seemingly unstoppable personalities aren't immune to life's quieter challenges. But here's the part that makes this story not just serious, but surprisingly uplifting. Bradley didn't let the fear define him. He didn't retreat or disappear. If anything, he came back with even more presence, more awareness, and yes, still plenty of humor. Because that's the balance, isn't it? Taking life seriously without losing the joy in it. There's certain charm in imagining him walking out of that appointment, processing everything, and still finding a way to smile, maybe even muttering something witty under his breath, because sometimes laughter isn't just entertainment, it's resilience. And maybe that's the real heart of this story. Not just a health scare, not just a warning, but a moment that quietly reshaped how life is approached. A reminder that strength doesn't always look loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's in the decision to listen, to act, to care about yourself, your future, and the people around you. It also opens up a bigger conversation, because if someone like Bradley, active, busy, constantly on the move, can be caught off guard by something silent, then it raises an important question for everyone else.
How often do we assume everything is fine just because it feels fine? There's a kind of romantic irony in it, really. Life moves fast, full of noise and distraction, and yet the most important signals can be the quietest ones. It's almost like life is gently tapping you on the shoulder, hoping you'll notice before it has to speak louder. And when you do notice, when you choose to pay attention, something shifts. Suddenly, taking care of yourself doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like an investment, a way of making sure there are more laughs ahead, more moments, more stories to tell. For Bradley, that shift didn't take away who he is, it added to it. There's still the humor, the charisma, the familiar presence audiences love, but now there's also a layer of awareness that makes it all feel a little more grounded, a little more real. And maybe that's why this story resonates so much, because it's not just about a celebrity, it's about something deeply relatable. That moment when life reminds you, sometimes gently, sometimes not, that it's worth paying attention, that health isn't something to assume, that time is something to value. And through it all, there's still room for laughter, still room for lightness, still room for those little moments that make everything feel worthwhile. So, as the cameras roll and the jokes land, there's an unspoken layer beneath it all, a quiet understanding that behind every smile is a story, behind every laugh, a moment that shaped it. And maybe, just maybe, that makes the laughter even better. Because it's not just entertainment anymore, it's a reminder to check in, to listen, to not wait for something loud when the quiet signals are already there, and to appreciate the everyday moments that often go unnoticed. If there's one thing to take from all of this, it's simple. Don't ignore the quiet things. They might just be the ones that matter most. And if a story like this made you think, even for a second, about your own health, your own pace, your own moments, then that's already something powerful. Share it, talk about it, and keep the conversation going. Because sometimes the best stories aren't just the ones we hear, they're the ones that inspire us to look a little closer at our own lives.